Kelly Buckman with the Potomac Bead Company, and today I get the honor to make another one of our Potomac Bead Company 2016 Design Challenge winner bracelets. This bracelet is called Lovely Crystals by Erika Lopez, and it features our DiscDuo beads along with our Potomac Crystal Rondelles in two different sizes that we produce. To do this fun bracelet, there's a lot of different varieties and variations that you could do to the pattern, to the design. Erika has a nice pattern on hers. I'll go over a little bit later if you do want to use two different colors, how you would do that design. I'm going to stick to one color using this marine metallic ice color, which has that nice kind of shimmer and sparkle to it. For the DiscDuos, which you can see a lot along the back here of the project, for the DiscDuos, you're going to use about 33 to 37 for your baseline, and then 6 or 7 for the actual top of the design. So if you're using two different colors, you may want to think along those lines too. 2 tubes, if you're doing two different colors, will get the whole bracelet done. You can also do the whole bracelet in just 1 tube of DiscDuos, unless you have to make it really large and have a larger wrist. But here, this bracelet is about just shy of about 6 3/4 inch, and I used altogether 39 crystals, or 39 of my DiscDuos. It's also featuring the Potomac Crystal Rondelles, and I'm using the 2x3mm in the opal color right along the top of my project. And then along the sides of the project, we're going to be using the that nice smoky quartz color, and those are the 3x4 Rondelles. You could also use some bicones if you wanted to do that as well. In her design, Erika used 3mm bicones along the middle, and then 4mm bicones along the outer edge. For the outer edge beads, you're going to use about 20 to 22 depending on your size of your wrist. And if you do want to use the Potomac Crystal Rondelles, 1 tube will get you for that as well. Also, the 2x3 Rondelles, those are strung, and 1 strand will get you that whole bracelet as well for the 2x3mm in that nice opal color. I have chosen to continue on with the crystal theme. We'll be using a Potomac Crystal button, and this is the Lila color, which actually has a little bit of a bluish, or I'm sorry, the Crystal Baby Blue color there. Has that little hint of blue that I decorated up with one of my opal beads as well. To hold the whole bracelet together, we're using 15 O's and 11 O's. And I forgot to mention, if you need any of these products, there's a little drop down on the left-hand side here. You can click on those links to purchase from me online, or go below the video to the details section. It has a little show more details, and that will get you the links to the different products. Also, you can go to your local Potomac Bead Company store to get some of the DiscDuos and the crystals as well. Again, we're holding it all together with our 11s and our 15s. For the 11 OC beads, I have chosen, they're the silver color. I've chosen to use the Toho Perma Finish Aluminum 11 O's. And then for the 15 O's, I'm using the Miyuki brand, and they are the Limelight Crystal AB, which have kind of a slight greenish and bluish tint to them to kind of really brighten up the project and make it pop. So whether or not you want to do two different colors or one color, you can kind of follow along, and I'll go over exactly how to do the pattern if you do want to do the pattern to it, just like Erika did. But for the simplicity of teaching the design and how to add the crystals and weave them back in and forth, I'm going to be doing just one color for you today. To get started, we are using 2 needles, and you're going to attach 2 needles to some gray wildfire thread. So I'm using the 0.006 in the gray wildfire. It blends really, really nicely, and you hardly see it at all with the crystals and the colors that I've chosen. For the thread, you are going to use about 6 to 7 feet of thread for your 7-inch bracelet. So it uses a lot of thread because you're weaving back and forth. As always, I usually work on my bead mat or a bead board because you want a nice surface to help you pick up the beads. Handy, I have my thread Zap 2. And if you want to glue some knots, I recommend the Super New Glue to glue them. I also have a pliers here to flatten out the edges of my thread after I burn them with a thread burner in order to put my needles on the thread. So to go ahead and get started, you're going to be working with DiscDuos and 11 OC beads first, and we get some thread on our needles. 1 needle on either side of the same piece of thread. So starting out, I have my 2 needles on, and my piece of thread is about 6 feet long. Hoping to do the whole thing with this piece of thread. We're going to start the design by doing the almost right angle weave pattern here of the 4 beads right along the base. To do that, we're going to be starting with just the DiscDuos and the 11-0 seed beads. And I have my button here. The faceted button we're actually going to put on first. I have one of my 2x3mm crystal there. Onto one of my needles, I'm going to put an 11-0 crystal 11. Then picking up my button, I'm going to go through the button so that it's through on an angle. There's 4 holes in it. I don't want to go side by side. I want to go across, putting one needle through one hole and one needle through the other hole. So that way I have an open hole basically at the top and bottom. That's going to just decorate the top of the button there with just a little bit of that opaly look. And when I'm coming out the back, you want to separate your needles. And we are going to be adding to each needle 3 of my 11-0 seed beads. So I have 3 on the left and 3 on the right. Drop those down next to your button. Once those are down next to the button, now we start the pattern. So the cool thing with these mirror beads is that they actually, the metallic ice ones kind of have that mirroring effect. So they have the silver right along the back and you can kind of see through it. I'm going to make sure that all of them sit up the same way as I'm doing this baseline. So to do that, I have my first of my beads that I'm going to put on. I'm going to put on one through the left, or through the right needle, and one hole through the left needle. So I have one bead that's going through, my needles are going through both holes at the same time. And you can see that just kind of sits right on there then. After this, we start our pattern where we separate out the beads. I'm just going to kind of make this sit here nicely for us. In between each, or for each pattern rather, we have an 11-0 go on each needle, right and left. Another DiscDuo go on. When I put the DiscDuo on, I want to make sure that when I'm picking up on the right hand side with the right needle, I'm going through the left hand side hole of the DiscDuo when the kind of mirrored side is facing up. On the left side here, I'm going through the right hand hole. That way I make sure that the mirrored section sits up. If you're using a DiscDuo that doesn't have the mirrored effect, you don't need to worry about it. After those, I put on a 11-0 seed bead and let those drop down. To finish our little rotation, we're going to bring it back together with another DiscDuo, making sure that mirror section is sitting up. One needle goes through the left hole, and one needle goes through the right hole. And let that drop down. And there you have your pattern. This pattern of going one together, then separating and putting an 11 on each side is done the whole base of the bracelet. So the whole base here, we're going to go up and back. Untangle my threads here. One thing I also didn't mention was making sure that you have an equal amount of thread on each side. After you put on your button, you want to make sure that each side has an equal amount. So after here, I'll show you a little cheat. I'm faster with my right side than I am with my left. So what I do is I do a lot here of beads, making sure that I'm putting them on the correct position as far as which hole it needs to go through in order for the correct side to face up. And once I have a couple beads on the left side, then I'll grab, or the right side, I'll grab the left side needle with my right hand and add a couple more to this side. After I add one to the left side, I go back then and grab the middle bead here. So this is kind of losing you how I'm doing it quicker. Don't pay attention and just continue doing what you've been doing. I just am so much faster with my right hand than my left, so I figure it's way easier to do everything with the right and do it in groups. I don't do like the whole bracelet. I only usually go ahead like 1 or 2 beads so that way my tension can remain the same. So I don't skip ahead a ton working with that right hand. I just skip ahead enough that I can get a couple beads on, make sure my pattern's in place, and make sure to pull down on that design. So you can see the DiscDuo lining up nicely. I'm going to continue on with this for right about 6.5 inches. So I'm done adding my beads here and just giving a tight little pull to kind of tighten up the whole design will really make it go in that diamond shape. I have 33 beads on, or 34 beads on rather. If you need it to be a little longer, you could do 37 or 40. That's why at the beginning I said the count was kind of 33 to 40 depending on how long you need it to be. In addition to those extras then that you'll need kind of on the top here in all the little top sections. So make sure to count that you'll need those extra beads as well if you're doing 2 different colors or 1 color. At this point I kind of wanted to stop for a second before showing you how to do the loop and just show you that if you wanted to do a pattern like Erika did, her pattern when she was doing her baseline, which I did here in my little example, was to do a whole triangle, or I'm sorry, a whole diamond in 1 color of the DiscDuo, then 2 different colors on the sides, and then a whole nother diamond in a color. 2 different colors on the sides, whole nother diamond. So if you did want to get the color variation like Erika did, that's the pattern that you would follow, is you put on 4 beads, 1 whole set of your 4 in 1 color, then 2 on the sides of a different color. 2 of 1 color, in this case the Jet Picasso, or 4 of the 1 color in Jet Picasso, 2 on the side in that amethyst color. So just keep that in mind if you do want to do the multiple colors. That's design, and now that you know how to do the base, that's how you get the colors. When you're coming out your last bead here, we're going to go ahead and make our loop for our button to sit in. To make my loop for my button, I'm going to pick up one of my needles, and in this case I have my right needle in my hand because I'm faster with my right. But I am going to be using my left as well. Get untwisted here. So I have my right needle hanging out here, and all I'm going to do with my seed beads are add a bunch of them. And I need enough to go around my cup button. If you happen to be using a clasp or regular closure, I would suggest using a bead stopper, or I'm sorry, a wire protector here. That's going to give you a much nicer finish. So I'm just going to go in right here and we're going to add some seed beads. So don't overthink it. You can count if you want to. The Toho 11s are just a little bit bigger than the Miyuki 11s. So you're going to do probably about 32 of these. If you want, you can also use your 15s that you're going to use in your design. You could use those in place of the 11s. It's up to you. I'm going to use more of the silver look to kind of highlight that mirrored effect going on. So continue adding your beads on your needle here. And once I have the beads on, I'll let them drop down. You're going to make sure that the loop that you're creating is big enough for the button. Keep in mind that the button gets a little bit bigger because you have the crystal on, so when you look at the side profile, that crystal pops out a little bit. That's going to affect how big you need that loop to be. A couple more beads added on. And then that same, once I have those beads on, I'm going to bring my needle and thread the right side now down the left side out the 11-0 after the DiscDuo. On the left side now, I'm going to repeat. So I'm going to reinforce that loop by taking my left needle, which is coming out still at the top of the DiscDuo, on the left side, take it through all of my seed beads here, and go down to the right side. Once we're reinforced and down through the DiscDuo, then we get to start creating our intersection. Okay, So once I have my needles out the 11 O's, after the DiscDuo here, one on each side, I'm going to give one more nice tug to make sure that all the thread is tightened, that you don't have any exposed here along the base as well. Now we get to add our crystals as well as our additional DiscDuo. If you want to, you can add a different color of DiscDuo just on the top. That's kind of up to you. You're going to see it every other between those little flowers. I'm going to be starting with a DiscDuo, and then my flower will be next. If depending on your count of your little squares here, or your diamonds, that's going to depend on whether or not you have a flower in the middle or whether or not your pattern ends opposite on each side. I have 11 diamonds here, so my pattern is going to have an actual flower in the middle. I'm going to start and end with a DiscDuo. To put the flowers and the DiscDuos in place, I'm coming out of those 11 OC beads right after the DiscDuo. I'm going to pick up another DiscDuo. I'm going to add it on to my needle here. This time I'm going to face it so that the shiny side is facing upward, just for a little change of pace. So you can see there that shine is facing up. I'm then going to take my needles and thread, give a nice tight pull. I'm going to grab the 11L and the DiscDuo that's next in line. So right now all I'm doing is going down the center line and popping out after my 11 O's and going into the 11 O's and straight down the DiscDuos. So I'm not going into my outer DiscDuos at all right now. Coming out the 11 then, give it a nice tight pull so that DiscDuo really lays kind of almost to the top here. So you can see it's laying right above. And it's creating almost two layers there. One sits right on top, and the other ones kind of sit recessed a little bit. When I'm coming out the next bead, I get to do my little flower design. To do the flower design, I'm coming out the 11s, and Erika did this with 3mm bicones. Because we have the PC, the Potomac Crystal Rondelles, I decided to use those. We also have this nice opal color that I really like. So on my right needle goes one crystal, on my left needle goes another crystal. Let them both drop down. Now I'm going to pick up an 11O. The needle on the right hand side, I put the 11O on, and my needle comes out the left. The needle on the left hand side, I'm going through the same 11O with the needle coming out to the right. So the needles just switch sides. Give it a nice tight pull. And you can see it creates that little center of the flower. Again, a crystal goes on the right and a crystal on the left. Once you have those on, I'm picking up the 11O, the DiscDuo, and the 11O below it. Coming out the 11O then, we repeat, adding the DiscDuo to the top, and then I get to add the flower. So here to the top, I'm going to do a DiscDuo, again turned upside down from what we have been doing. And it's just going to lay right on top of the other DiscDuos. So I have that in place here. Take my thread and needle through the middle 11s and DiscDuo from the baseline. And then when I'm coming out, I get to add another rotation where I add a crystal on the right, crystal on the left needle, crisscross through an 11O, putting another crystal on, and going back down through the center. So I'm going to continue going down through that center line of 11-O's and DiscDuos, adding in that top DiscDuo as well as my crystal flowers. So I'm at the end adding in my last DiscDuo, and I'm going to use this opportunity to reinforce my clasp, just kind of like I did on the other side. I'm going up through the end of that last DiscDuo. I'm also going to go through, oops, trying not to get my thread and needles all tangled up. In addition to going through the DiscDuo, I'm going up through the back of my faceted button, coming out the top here, through my 11s and my crystal, back down through the 11 and through the 11s right after my button there. So my needle's was on the right hand side, it's coming now out the left hand side after the group of 3 11-O's. And I'm going to do the same thing here with my left needle, and then it'll come out on the right hand side. This will get 3 threads into the into the faceted button, which is nice because it'll reinforce that clasp. Whenever you do add either a cup button or a faceted button, you want to make sure when you're coming down one of the sides, always grab the seed bead at first, because otherwise it makes it too difficult to try to get in there and grab on the seed bead. So as you're coming down, grab the seed bead. And then I have my needles coming out right along the outer edge. What we're going to do now is actually do some more decorating. So you can see here in the design, we have that flower design, and then also in between, popping out kind of on the sides of the other DiscDuos there on the center, we're going to add in some crystals. We're also going to decorate the sides of the DiscDuos. You can see a little bit here on the baseline that I have the silver 11-O's. That's where my 15s are going to come into play. I think the 11-O's gave it too big and bulky of a look, so we're going to use the 15-O's. I know Erika used the 15-O's. It was just hard to see in her picture exactly where. But we're going to use this opportunity basically to decorate our side beads here along the sides, and then we'll come back in. To decorate the side beads, we are using the 15-O's. So I'm going to pour out some of my 15s. With my needle coming out of that 15-O right there along the side, I'm going to add my 4 15s, sew into the 11, the outer DiscDuo, and the 11. So this time I'm also sewing through the 11s, but rather than sewing through the middle DiscDuo, I'm sewing through the outer edge. 4 15s go on. Pick up the 11, the outer DiscDuo, and then the 11. So I'm going to go down this right side here, adding in these 15-O seed beads, and then I'm also going to come down the left side, adding in the 15-Os. So you can see when this is laying, it just gives it a nice little pop of color, kind of framing out the beads here. Going through again the 15 on the side. And then instead of going down the center line, I'm going to go through the DiscDuo on the edge, going through the hole that's already threaded through, not through the outer hole yet, coming out the 11, and adding 4 more 15s. So again, we're just going to continue doing this on each edge here of my beads. So go ahead, come down your right side, and then go ahead and come down the left. Once you're coming out of the 11-O, we're going to add on 3 15s, and you're going to come down the 11-O on the other side. And that's just going to pop those kind of 3 15s sitting on that outer edge. With the right needle then, after coming out the first 11-O, I'm going to sew through those same 15s and down through the 11 on the other side. Give a nice little tight pull, and that gets our needles to the separate sides. And then we get to come down the sides, and we can do one of two things first. A lot of the things in this bracelet, the order you can switch up. Well, what I'm going to do is, so that way the DiscDuos sit in place, we're going to start adding our 3x4mm rondelles here down the sides with some 11s and 15s between them. Then we'll come back at the very end, go through those, and add in our last little crystals. Once we're at the side of that 11-0, I did a little bit on the right-hand side to show you adding those crystals in. But what you're going to do to add those in is come down the 4 15s on the side. When you're out the 4 15s, you're going to add 4 more 15s, and that's going to take us from that bottom area to the top, so it's almost like stepping up to the top row. Going down now the whole side on the right and the left, we're going to add in our crystals, which is going to make our DiscDuos sit flat. Between each crystal, we put 2 15-0s on the right side of it and 2 15-0s on the left side of the crystal, and simply go straight down from one DiscDuo to the other, right down along the edge. And you can see then that decorates and keeps those flat and gets more crystals in there, hence the name Lovely Crystals. So I'm just going to keep adding in using 2 15s and then crystal, 2 15s, and sewing right down along the edge. So once you're down the right side, you also want to go down the left side. And this will make your bracelet sit nicely too, because you're then getting those DiscDuos to stay in place. Once I'm done going down the right and left hand sides, I'm going to mimic what I did previously by adding my 4 seed beads, and then I'm sewing into the 4 seed beads that are sticking out right there along the last DiscDuo. Again, sew through the first 11-0, and then on the other side do the same thing. Add in the 4 15s, sew through the 4 15s already there. It's going to connect the top to the baseline here. Sew through the first 11-0. When I'm out the 11-0, I'm going to add 3 15s and sew down the 11 on the outer edge. I do this on both the right side and the left side. So with the right side there, it's coming to the left. And then with the left side, I pick up those 3 11s, or those 3 15s rather. So back through those as well. And then down the 11 on the other side. And that's going to do the outer edge then. If you wanted to, the bracelet's really pretty as is. You could keep it and just leave it. There's a bunch of different sections in this bracelet where you can kind of stop if you want to and you don't need to continue, or you can continue. That's up to you. In the actual design that won, Erika did some extra crystals right in between, right at the tops of the DiscDuo that's exposed here on the top in between the flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're going to follow right along the outside edge and kind of sew into that DiscDuo. I'm going to take my needle and thread that's down that crystal and go through those 15-0s again. And it's getting a little tight. If you need to switch to a size 12 needle, you can. but I'm going to go right along that outer edge. And actually when I'm through those 15s here, I'm going to add, so I'm through the 4 15s on the side, I'm going to add one more 15 and my crystal and sew through a DiscDuo. So you can see the crystal is just going to hang out right there. Adding another crystal and a 15, I'm going to sew through the seed bead outer edge that I just created. That crystal just pops right in there. When I'm out then, and there's a crystal next to it, I just sew right along the top the whole way till I'm at the next section where I come out a seed bead, and there's the extra little DiscDuo on top. On goes 2 15s and a crystal. Sew through that DiscDuo that sits on the top, get another crystal and 2 more 15s. Then sew through that top outer edge again. Again, you sew through that top outer edge the whole way until you get to the section that has the next DiscDuo sticking up. Once you get to that section, on goes 2 15s, another one of my crystal rondelles, through the DiscDuo, and then another crystal and 2 15s. And I'm going to continue right down the line here on the left-hand side and the right-hand side. So I'm continuing adding in that little color pop there of the crystals on the outer edge. So adding in my last of my crystals here, I just wanted to show you exactly, repeating again how we go ahead in and finish this off. So I'm going in here, I have my crystal on and my 1 seed bead. And I'm going to go in and pick up those 4 15-ohs right along the outer edge. Pull that in place, and you can see that fun pop of that opal along the sides there. I think it really completes the bracelet. I'm going to then take my seed bead, or my needle, over to the other thread and simply tie off my thread. If you want to, you can take that down further into the project and tie further off. The awesome thing is, because I use this gray thread, you're really not going to see the knot. So once those 2 are in place here, I'm simply going to flip it over so that way I pull my threads to the back. Give it a little knotting there, and then have your thread burner handy. If you want to, you can use some super glue glue and glue down the edges. That's kind of up to you. But it creates a really nice finished designs. Again, this is Erika Lopez's Lovely Crystals, and it was one of our 2016 Potomac Bead Company Challenge winners. And if you need any of these materials again to create this bracelet, you can go back to the beginning of the video and you can do the little drop down links there, or you can go to the start or to the bottom here to the description. It has that show more, and it'll give you links to all the different products that were used in this Lovely Crystals bracelet. You can also follow us on our Facebook group, beading and jewelry making, and you can interact with lots of other beaders. You can show off your designs that you create, show off different variations, and hopefully a lot of these things inspire you to use other products to do other designs and kind of change it up. You could do the flowers every single one. So I really love everybody's creations that they did and how it's inspiring others. I've seen a number of different people posting in our Facebook group variations to the different design winners and to their designs that you've been doing. So kudos to everyone that did that kind of got out of their comfort zone and designed and really are inspiring others to make and design as well. If you do get a chance to make this Lovely Crystals bracelet, have fun with all the different details that are involved in it. Again, kind of go wild. You could use round duos in place of some of the DiscDuos. You can use different size crystals. You could use 6/0 and 8/0 seed beads. So there's really a lot of variety that you could do to the whole bracelet itself. You can also stay connected with us by subscribing to this YouTube channel to get videos like this, as well as product updates and other videos, as well as just checking in with what we're doing and what we're up to and the awesome products that are coming out and that we're creating as well. So as always, everyone, thanks so much for watching and enjoy making this lovely crystal bracelet by Erika Lopez.